name of the book right over there. Imaginary Mary.
Oh, yes.
Prairie.
Camera is on and we are live. Oh, come in.
Okay. Hello. Hello, I am Cliff Helm. I'm children's specialist at Left Bank Books, and I'm so happy to be here with you in person and virtually. Thank you all so much for joining me, and thank our author and the reason for gathering tonight for agreeing to sit and chat with me. All of our events are made possible by your support. When you support Left Bank Books, you support our shared local economy and so many other things that make St. Louis a better place. I would love to commend you all for shopping local and extend a special thanks for supporting this event. For everyone watching from home, you can interact with the event by typing in questions in the comment field of this stream. We will have an audience Q&A towards the end of the event. Now, our guest this evening. Michelle Mason lives in St. Louis with her family. She spent 10 years as a PR manager before shifting her focus to fictional stories, which are very, very good. When she isn't writing novels, she enjoys reading, baking amazing brownies, playing the violin, watching her kids perform, and stockpiling best days with her family. And if you haven't read it yet, a little bit about our book, My Second Impression of You. 16-year-old Maggie thought she knew everything about her friends and boyfriend until she relives her best day ever and discovers she had it all wrong. You should absolutely read it. It is very good. I read it. And finally, please join me in a round of applause for Michelle Mason.
Thank you so much.
I'll turn it
Thank
down.
you for being here. Again, it's hard to know where to hold the thing. Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I appreciated your book too. It's very good. I've read it and I will pass it on to my girlfriend soon.
Awesome. I love to hear that.
Even though she's already heard me read bits of it aloud to her. So will you do us the pleasure of reading a little bit?
Absolutely. I'd love to read from
I
it.
have a copy. It's my copy.
Okay. All right. I like to read just from the first chapter, actually. So to give you a taste of how the book starts. Wardrobe is vitally important not only on the stage, but in life as well. As the incomparable Kristen Chenoweth once said, a nice pair of Jimmy Choos never hurt anyone. Not that I could afford Jimmy Choos, more like a pair of Jessica Simpsons from the clearance rack at DSW. Or today, because it's so unseasonably warm for March, the rhinestone-embellished flip-flops my friend Alexis Santiago gave me because it turned out her mom bought the wrong size and she couldn't return them. Win for me. Second win. Both my Midsummer Night's Dream rehearsal and Theo's golf practice were canceled today. Totally unprecedented. Instead of just asking me to meet him at the driving range or his basement for a makeout session, Theo suggested Starbucks. I can't remember the last time we went out for real. Thus the sparkly flip-flops instead of my more practical Vans or ballet flats. I also swapped out the Metro Theater Arts tee and leggings I wore to school for black ankle pants and a hunter green off-the-shoulder peasant top. Too much for coffee? Maybe. But prom is around the corner. This could be big. Theo stepped up the setting, I'm stepping up the costume, and I'm ready for an important moment. Glancing around the parking lot, I decide my car is the best background option. I snap a picture of myself and send it to my best friend, Reina Fuentes. Do I look promposal worthy? Prom is 6 weeks away, she replies, and he's already your boyfriend. He probably assumes you're going together. She doesn't add an eye roll emoji, but I can see her doing it while she types. I start walking along the row of cars while I respond. 33 days! Like she doesn't know I have a countdown. It's tacked on my wall beside the daily calendar entry I saved from when I met Theo. My grandma started buying me these tear-off calendars years ago. My favorite featured quotes from famous Broadway stars. Last year's was a word of the day theme, and that particular day was Genesis, the origin or mode of formation of something. I'd already marked it with a star in red pen because I was expecting the casting announcement for my theater troupe's fall production of Frozen that day. After meeting Theo, I added a heart and kept it as a memento because it turned out to be the best day ever, the start of a wonderful relationship and a fun role. But the point is, I know the exact number of days until prom. It's one of the benefits of dating a junior. Most sophomores don't get asked to the prom, though I'm anxious for Theo to make it official. Prom isn't even on Rita's radar. Her wall features prints of famous female scientists. We have very different priorities, but in general, she still supports mine, so I assure her we'll keep you posted. I've reached the edge of the parking lot. After stowing my phone in my pants pocket, I dash across the street that separates it from the strip center and up the steps toward the Starbucks entrance. As I'm about to reach for the door, it swings out, emitting Carson Lockwood. Ugh. My lip curls, as it generally does when Theo's best friend is around. What's he doing here at the scene of my potential promposal? I instinctively step backward, putting space between us. Carson exits the coffee shop completely, tugging his gray baseball cap low over his forehead. Maggie, he grunts, without a split second of direct eye contact. Talk about a character study. His body language is 100% get away from me. The feeling is mutual. But you know what? He's not spoiling today for me. Have a great afternoon, Carson, I say brightly and sail past him inside. I'm still smiling with satisfaction over Carson's startled expression when I spot Theo at a cozy table in the corner. He hasn't seen me yet. He's looking at his phone. But there he is, the most perfect boyfriend ever. He once told me his last name, Callis, is Greek for best, and I believe it. He's so handsome with his olive-toned year-round tan and dark wavy hair. Sometimes I get lost in his rich brown eyes. And he dressed up too. He always trends preppy, but today he's wearing an untucked plaid button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up so his forearms show. I love his forearms. A warm feeling tingles through me, like when he draws me close for a kiss. I'm right. I know I am. He's planning to ask me today. I weave quickly through the tables and lean down to kiss his cheek, since we're in public and all. Hi. He startles and fumbles his phone. Hey, didn't see you come in. A little underwhelming. Oh well. I sit across from him and pick up the drink waiting for me. Is this a mocha cookie crumble frappuccino? Yep. He leans forward, propping his elbows on the table with his spine all straight like he's nervous. A good sign. Here. He pushes a paper bag toward me. I got you a chocolate chip cake pop too. Aw, that is so sweet. It's no big deal, he says. But it totally is. Either he has an amazing memory or possibly keeps a Maggie note of all my favorites. Drinks, ice cream, flowers, because he's a model boyfriend when it comes to knowing what I like. No, really, you're so thoughtful. I suck in a strawful of delicious chocolate and caffeine and start giving him a mental costume change, picturing our big night. Theo is very traditional, so I'll never get him to wear anything too trendy like a retro velvet jacket, so soft to cuddle against, or a pop of color. He'd look fantastic in a slim fit suit with a side of sheen to it. How do you feel about a nice charcoal? Charcoal? Theo blinks his beautiful brown eyes. Are you planning a barbecue? Were you even listening to me? He was talking? I bite my lip. Sorry, the caffeine went straight to my head. What were you saying? I better not have missed him asking me to the prom. He heaves a distinctly unromantic sigh. I think it's time for us to break up. His lips keep moving, but I don't hear a word. Like that moment when you're on a plane trying to get your ears to pop. There's nothing. No whir of machines as the baristas make drinks. No hum of conversation from other customers. No steady thump of my heart in my chest. And then it all snaps back. Pop. Too much drama. I just can't handle it anymore. I'm sorry, Maggie. What? I shriek. I'm laser focused on Theo, but I can tell from the way his gaze moves from side to side that half the coffee shop is now focused on us and our drama. You're breaking up with me? I thought you were going to ask me to prom. Maggie? He looks like a cornered animal. I really care about you, but no, He takes a steadying breath, like I'm about to go all carry on him. We're done. We can't be. Not when I came here expecting us to plan out the ultimate prom evening. I dressed up for him. There has to be some reason. Is there someone else? My voice is still about 3 ticks higher than usual, but all my acting training has gone out the window. I have absolutely no control over my vocal cords. No. He shakes his head vigorously, still nervously watching the people around us. No one else. I have to go. And then he's up and running out of Starbucks, running away from me.
Thank you so much. It's fantastic. The book definitely left a second impression on me, especially given what I know. Haven't finished it. So I guess the way I've structured this
Mhm.
is four, but I want to start with, I guess, a little bit about you, your writing process, how you approach writing, and then a deep dive into some of my questions about the book.
Okay.
So I guess to start, when did you start writing? When did you know that you were going to write with a capital W?
Okay. I always loved writing from when I was like a young kid. Like I used to make books and I would write these stories that were, I don't know why, but I liked writing like horror stories when I was very young. They were like, I don't know, I think I was reading a lot of like, well, it wasn't like Goosebumps yet, but I did read the Christopher Pike novels when I was a kid. I really loved those. So I wrote a lot of horror, like I would write like horror stories when I was young. And like I would give them, my uncle liked to read them, so I would give them to him. For some
Were they
reason.
very grisly?
I don't know, like there was like ripping arms off and stuff. I don't know why.
Excellent. Those are my
Yeah,
favorite
I don't know
ones.
why. I don't know why I haven't like gone back to writing those again. But I drifted in a different direction later. But yeah, so and then like I don't think I really realized like that was a viable thing I could just do. I didn't understand how to get there. And so then when I was a teenager, I still would write stories, but then I kind of thought, oh, maybe I will be like a book editor. That seems like a real job, right? And then I was an English major in college, and I still kind of had that in the back of my mind. But then I fell into like public relations, and I really
Different.
it
Also
is
not
it is
very
different, but it's still writing,
Yeah.
and it's still I mean it is still writing, and so I
Still
did that.
creative.
It is creative, and so I did that for 10 years, and I really enjoyed it, and I learned so many things about so many different industries working in PR, and I use a lot of those skills now promoting my book. So but then I went to see Mary Higgins Clark when she was here one year. It was one of my clients, the St. Louis Speaker Series.
Okay.
And I heard her speak, and it just like hit me again. Like I really want to like write fiction again. And she like was talking about how she wrote her novels and how she like her routine and everything, and it got me back into wanting to really write again. And then it took a while.
Yeah, obviously, like it does.
Yes.
Yes. So this is not your first published book.
Right.
Is there anything different that for this? I heard a quote that I cannot attribute because I don't know where I heard it, but that you spend your entire life writing your first book and then did the second one. You got to pull it from somewhere. So did you? Is there anything like remarkably different about the process of writing your second book than your first?
Yes. So my first published book was not the first book I wrote though. Like it was like the seventh book that I wrote because I was.
When do we get the other six?
I don't know if any of those will end up being published. It's kind of like some of those are just, shelved novels that I learned from, but I don't know, maybe I'll go back to one. Well, there is one of them that I have gone back to that I really love and I can't ever let go. But I've learned from every single book that I've ever written. But yes, as far as between those two books, Your Life Has Been Delayed was like workshopped so much with critique partners, and I had like a dozen different people read it before I even sent it out to agents. And then because I had my second book was already contracted, that was on a much quicker schedule to get it finished. But I also, because I had already been through the editing process with my publisher, I was already in a different mindset when I was writing it. And so,
Are you anticipating?
Yeah,
notes you'll
I
get?
was. It was like I already had like my editor in my head, she was already like in my head as I was writing. Like she's gonna ask me about this, and she's gonna tell me I need to work on this part, and and so like it didn't mean that like she didn't still have more questions for me when we got to the editing, but I felt like it came out much better. It was a much stronger product already before it went to her.
So do you think you work better under the deadline? Under the
I do. I need deadlines. Yes, I really do. I mean, when I
same.
Yeah.
If it's up to me, I'll do nothing and get it done sometime.
Yeah, I do like deadlines. I can be a like total procrastinator because I don't like drafting, for example, and so I have to set a deadline in order to get a draft finished.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So I guess do you see a through line in your writing? Is there a particular theme that comes up a lot? Is there something that you find yourself wanting or trying to say through your writing?
I think that I like to. I always want people to think it's not, and I'm not ever trying to teach a lesson or anything, but I do. My books do tend to have sort of a theme of. I mean, this one is even more about perspective, but my first book was about perspective as well because it was like the perspective of the 90s and how the world was working versus how it's working today. And so I think that's pretty common. And even in the book that I'm working on right now, there are things about perspective. So I think I'm always kind of have that in my mind of like, how do you look at the world and how does the person next to you look at the world and how can you better try to think about what they're thinking and you know, just be considerate of that. And
Yeah, of course.
you know,
Are you a deeply introspective person? Do you think? I think that's a trait of deeply introspective or introspective people is that they do they're constantly thinking of other people's experience of the world and them and how trying to fill in the picture of the world. I think it's
try
great.
to.
Yeah, it is. I think it's a great trait. It's a fantastic, and it does come across the idea of perspective. This is a novel about
Right.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're trying, you're succeeding. Is there are you writing? Do you think the books that you wanted as a kid?
Oh, I do think so because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I didn't feel like there were a lot of like there was a limited amount of middle grade and young adult books when I was younger.
You had to make the jump to adult.
I did. Like I started reading
Winnie the Pooh and then Stephen King.
Yeah. Well, for me it was adult romance novels, which is what I found in my house. And I mean, but then like when I was an adult, then I discovered middle grade and young adult, and I like that's now what I read all the time, and I love it. And I wish I'd had that when I was younger. And then what I love about young adults specifically is that there are so many, like you can just it's so broad. Like you can do so many things with it. And like I can write contemporary and throw in a dash of magic and I don't have to explain it really. It can just be.
I think that's wonderful. One of the things that I love about middle grade and young adult is the books have an earnestness to them. They aren't like you don't have to explain the magic. The magic just exists. And you just need to get the kids away from the parents, and then there's an adventure to be had, or the stuff of life, and it's fun.
Yeah.
There's so much more fun than the things that I read as a kid.
I mean,
And that's all I want now.
Well, and I would have loved to have had more of that to read when I was a preteen or a teenager. And there were books that I read that I remember reading the Boxcar Children, and that seems pretty unlikely to me now, but or Nancy Drew or those things. I still would love those things, but I do want to just write stories that people can get lost in, but yeah, just go with it. Would it really happen? I mean, no, but that's all right. Just just go with it.
Absolutely. That's the tagline of literature for kids and teens. Just go with it. Just be along for the ride.
Yeah.
This is great. So one thing this book is deeply St. Louis. Like it is trying to pick out. It's almost like a bingo board. Metro Theater Company. It's excellent. And so, is it important for you to do you wish to always be setting your books in St. Louis? Is St. Louis the character, I guess, in your?
I think so. I like every book I've written hasn't always been set in St. Louis, but I have been falling back into it with my last few books, and it is. I mean, I at first I thought, do I need to go set them somewhere else? And then I'm like, well, I see other authors that keep writing books in their hometown, and it works. And so I'm like, I love St. Louis. I think more people should come visit here. Like, come hang out, come check out Left Bank Books, because this is a really cool store. And
I like to take credit for it.
Yeah.
It is a collaborative effort.
but you know, it is like there's so much, like there's so many things to do here, and I haven't explored all of them in my books, so I can keep putting more St. Louis in my stories, and I have not exhausted it for sure.
Oh no, not at all. I didn't see the City Museum in here.
Oh right, I know.
Or the free museums.
Yeah, like there's all of Forest Park. I mean, I mentioned the Muni, but
Yes.
didn't actually go
I
there.
love the character that the Muni plays or the setting. Muni. So I guess before we get off of you, the writer, theater is a huge part of this book. And it's huge to the main character. How much of that is you? Are you a theater geek?
I mean, a little bit. It's a little bit of me, but it's mostly my daughter.
Oh.
So I did do theater growing up, but I was like, I mean, I did it in like school, but I was always like the ensemble kid, so it wasn't like my life. But I enjoyed it very much. But part of what inspired me to make Maggie a true like theater geek was that a few years ago my daughter got very involved in theater and was cast in her first like community show in like the children's ensemble of Frozen, and so that's why Frozen is in the book as well. And then she has like since gotten even more involved in doing the dance and the voice lessons and the acting. And so, I mean, like, I get like how that is like a passion, like a true passion. And so, so it fit well also with my, like the plot function of a character, like breaking her foot and something that like would really prevent her from doing something that she loved. So.
Yes, it is. Because theater, dance, sports, these are things that do require, or they do require a lot of effort, a lot of buy-in from the people who are into them. So yeah, I was a wrestler in high school, and it requires a lot of you.
Yeah.
Constantly sweating in sauna seats and the like. And there are many friends who I ignored because I had to shave off a couple pounds or because I had needs. The worst time was Saturday morning. You have no energy for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So no, I understand. I also have a 14-year-old who's video games have consumed all of his life.
Oh, wow.
That is, I'm trying to get him to do other things. So about the book, my second impression of you. Are you familiar with the internet created thing, like main character syndrome?
No, I don't think
Well,
so.
it's essentially just the idea, and it's on the internet, it's, social media, that when people act as though they're the main character in their own story,
Mhm.
and so just it's borne out in some specific ways, like they act always being on and acting, and sort of a refusal to see other people as anything other than like bit parts. And everyone in my house is obsessed with TikTok, so I'm constantly getting them secondhand. So this is why it's on my radar. But it's decidedly like of the moment, especially when we live our entire lives in front of on social media for other people to witness. I was curious, and now that I know you didn't know what it was, whether or not you set out to create a main character who had main character syndrome, or is this a thing that you see in the kids around you in your life, or is this a thing that you had as a kid?
I think it's kind of, I think that's fascinating. Now I'm going to go look it up.
Oh, please do.
But
We'll talk about it afterwards.
yeah, I tend to think that everybody is, and I'm not knowing exactly what that is, but I tend to think that everybody is like their own main character, and you see the world through like your own lens, and to varying degrees, you notice what's going on with everybody else. And so, like, with Maggie, my goal was to set out for her that she's a little bit less observant about everyone else than the typical teenager, because she's so laser focused on her goals. And so my goal with her was to like have that revealed to her in such a way that she would her eyes would be open and she would gradually start to see, hey, I've been missing things. I
Things are
need to
happening
pay
around me.
more attention to the people around me, because I clearly do not know the people that I really care about as well as I thought I did.
Yeah, they have all these rich lives, and you think you have an insight into it, but you may not know who your best friend's boyfriend is.
Right. Like I thought I got it. I thought we were on the same page about some things, and we're really not. And so I've screwed something up here, and I need to like start figuring that out. So, and it takes a major setback for her to figure that out.
Yes, it's a broken foot to literally slow down, and it's fascinating because I do see in a lot of people, myself included, you sort of get stuck in the living of your own life, and everything else sort of fades to the background. There are levels of community, right? You know, you may know more what's happening with your own kid, and then as it grows out, people cease to exist until you are looking at them again. So it is. I think you did it very well. You hit it on the head. It is. She's doing something that she enjoys, and she thinks she sees all of her friends and all of the time and all of the ways, but she's actually very busy. She's never free. Yeah. It's fascinating. It's very, very good. So is there anything in the book that you wanted in the book but couldn't make work?
I mean, mostly things that got cut were just that they were too long. Like I had, there was a scene where she and Theo were at an improv show, and it was much longer. Like I had a much longer improv show that I thought was like really funny. And my editor was like, yeah, we need to make this a lot shorter. This is just
How many
going on
improv
too
nights
long.
did you go to and research?
I didn't go. I was like watching them online and stuff. But that would have been way more fun.
No, absolutely. Improv shop. It is in the Grove area. I would say it's very fun.
Okay. Yeah, I need to go there.
Absolutely. Okay, so you pretty much got in everything that you wanted except for an extended improv set. Is there, now that the book is out and you've written it, you've edited it, you've rewritten it, you're doing events for it, is there Are you happy with the strength of your vision? Do you feel like you got across exactly what you set out to get across when you sat down to write it the first time?
Yeah, I do. I really love this book. I like every time I start to like reread, like when I reread it, I'm like, I just want to keep reading this, like which is a great feeling to
It's
have
also so cute.
about a book that you know that you have like put so many hours into already that you're not sick of it. Because that can definitely happen.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So I do. I really love this book, and I hope that readers will love it too.
I'm sure they will. I think they will. Okay. One question. You said you had a soundtrack for
I do.
for writing this.
Well, not a soundtrack while writing because I
Okay.
can't listen to stuff while I'm writing.
Oh, that's fair. Would it make its way into the book?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so what is your soundtrack for
The book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do. I have a playlist. You can find it on my website. And it's mostly songs that are either like mentioned in the book or like have or I picked songs that are in like some of the musicals that are in the book. So it obviously starts out with Best Day of My Life by the American Authors because that was actually the title of the book for a long time. And it was my working title, and yes, and then On Top of the World, because that song also makes an appearance in the book. And then there are Footloose, obviously.
Yes, it is. That is my most played video on YouTube. It's just the end dance to the movie. Footloose.
I mean, that's an awesome
It's a fantastic
awesome
song.
scene and song and scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
From the
It's an awesome
original,
movie.
like from the original movie.
Yes.
I've never seen the remake. So.
It is fine. I
Fine,
won't say
yeah.
it's an abomination because this is being recorded, but
Well, and I've seen the stage show too, and I really enjoyed the stage show too. And then also, so some of the other musicals that come up in the book. So like I have No One Is Alone from Into the Woods, and then I have as well. It's not actually, I need to add it on my website, but Tomorrow from Annie should be on the playlist because Annie is the musical that first inspired Maggie to want to do music theater. And then also You Can't Stop the Beat from Hairspray.
fantastic.
So,
Okay, and then I guess one last incredibly pressing question before I turn it over to the audience, both in person and virtual, is do you have a favorite Muni show?
ooh, a favorite movie.
I will also answer it if
Okay,
if that
yeah,
would make
absolutely,
you feel better.
yes.
And I'll vamp if it'll give you time to go through.
Okay, I went to like half the shows this summer and they were all fantastic. So I've got to remember what I saw this summer. Just like because all the shows I saw this summer were amazing.
I did not make it to a single one this summer.
Really? It was a really good season.
One of the best shows I ever saw in Community was a couple of years ago. They did Matilda.
Oh,
And it
that's
was
a great
such a
one.
great show. I loved the movie, never saw the musical, and it was a treat. I absolutely adore it.
So the final show that they did this season was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and that was like, it was like just like a super joyful show, and the narrator, the woman playing, I don't remember what her name was, but she had the most amazing voice, and I mean everybody was great, but I was just blown away, and it was just, we left there just like, wow, that was just so happy. That was a great show.
Yes, and it could not have come at a better time. Just a show that leaves you feeling happy and light. And excellent. So I'm going to ditch you up here for just
Okay.
a moment to check for questions. And if there are any from the audience, we'll gladly answer them, or Michelle will. I will not answer your questions.
I need to go feed the meter.
Oh, okay.
I have not, but I will keep shooting questions at you.
All right.
Do you have a favorite scene in this book?
I really enjoy the scene where Maggie, well, it was really fun to write, and I also know that like my audiobook narrator said it was really fun to record. The scene where Maggie is coming home from surgery and she's on the like still on the anesthetics, and she's like singing. I wasn't allowed to actually like put the lyrics from Wells Fargo Wagon in the book, but like that's clearly what it is. And then she starts just texting her best friend about how her life is so horrible and everything is just like her life is over, and it's just like this really long text string, and then she gets the text offering her the chance to relive the best day. And so it's just like it was really fun to write it because she's just like out of control and just total stream of conscious. And so yeah, that scene was really fun.
Excellent. If you got a text that offering you the chance to relive your best day, given what you know now from what you wrote, would you accept the call to action?
So two things. One, like I would not click on a link from an unknown number. So, and just to be clear for internet safety, and you should not do that. Like I teach my kids not to do that.
A disclaimer at the back.
Yeah,
Of the book.
exactly. I mean, she is like all, she's still like woozy from her surgery when she like is in a weak moment, clicks on it. But yeah, so I would not do it for that reason. I like delete any of those kind of texts that come through. However, but for like just for that disclaimer, on the subject of like, would I want to relive my best day knowing that there would be the catch of hearing other people's thoughts? No. Now, like if it were just, if you didn't know the catch and you could just like relive a really awesome day, I mean, maybe, yeah.
Just as a do-over.
Just to get to do it again and like re-experience it. I'd probably like take really good notes about it because that's what I do. You're like, oh, that's how that happened. Because it's like memory is so, tricky.
It is.
I mean, that's the other thing she learns is that she thinks she remembers things. Even the things she thinks she remembers are not quite the way that happen. So
Yes, it is. It is funny to me that she forgot that there was an entire other person there at
Yeah.
her first date. Okay. I would absolutely click on it. I have to know what I have to know.
you want to know what people are thinking?
Yeah, I want to know what if everyone else experienced the day like I did. I'm never sure that they do.
So I was at another event, and somebody asked me that same question. And then she also said, she's like, she asked me about a particular day, like, what did I have a best day? And then she's like, she's like, one of my best days was my wedding, but I'm pretty sure that it was my mother-in-law's worst day. And so I don't know if I would want to.
Oh no.
I know. And I was like, well, but probably, I bet it wasn't.
No, definitely not worst.
No. I bet if she could hear her thoughts, it wasn't like that at all.
Okay, I have, I think, one or two more, and then we can call it. One, did you go to prom? And if you did, what was your dress? Was it?
Oh, yes, I did go to prom. But I just like, I didn't have, I wish it were more like today where like just big groups of people just go. But my prom was like you had to have a date. And so I like got set up with somebody that I didn't even really know. So I like went to his prom and then he went to my prom and then I never like talked to him again, but it was fine.
Did you have a beautiful dress?
I did. I had this like red dress that had like this gauzy thing that hung from the back of my neck. That's like the main thing I remember about it. But yes, I did go to prom and were you gonna ask me something else about if I could hear his thoughts or something?
No. No. And I will not ask you about your best day.
But our prom was at the Fox Theater, and we got to dance on the stage at the Fox Theater.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
And that was really cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. Okay, my last question. You alluded to writing and working on another book. Is there anything that you can tell me? Like, what is the magic of the next book? Or is there?
Oh, what is the magic of the next book? Okay. Well,
You don't have to give anything away.
Yeah. So
Publishers will be angry if you.
well, I mean, I don't have, it's not like, I don't have a contracted book yet. So, it's just a book that I wrote years ago and I keep going back to, and I could just say that it involves music and it involves like magic related to the music. So that's probably about all I can say about it at this point, but.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I had a good time.
Yeah, me too.
Fantastic. We have books available for sale. They will be signed. We'll have both of Michelle's books. You can buy them on our website. Thank everyone who is here in person. Thank everyone who tuned in online. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for being here and experiencing this with me. And thank you, Michelle, for doing this, for coming out and for being in our little bookstore.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. Well, everyone, have a good night. It's going to be weird because I have to go over and turn it off.